Attachment of liquid cooling system in air preheater in two-wheeler. Abstract. In this modern generation the usability of automobiles in every sector has a key role for transporting from one place to other, but the efficiency of those automobiles are not much good for the procurement. Majorly two-wheelers are affordably used by the people for fulfilling their needs, but the efficiency of the two-wheelers may not be a satisfactory factor to the consumers. In order to satisfy the customers in the era of efficiency as well as engine lifespan, we made an advancement to the two-wheeler, Royal Enfield Classic 350 cubic centimeters, to increase the efficiency and the lifespan, i.e., we made an attachment of liquid cooling system to the engine for direct cooling and an air preheater to increase the mechanical efficiency of the two-wheeler. One introduction. Nowadays the people are more prominent in saving the time to improve themselves, but there is big problem for transportation from one place to other by road. The number of people coming out are increasing day to day, as the people are favorably using their own automobiles for transportation like cars, bikes, scooty, etc. Mostly two-wheelers are affordably used in order to move quickly because the space required for the two-wheelers are less compared to cars, buses, etc. But the people are not much satisfactory about the efficiency of the automobiles due to some traffic and road issues. The mileage offered by the two-wheelers are may not satisfying the people. In order to satisfy the people we made an advancement to the two-wheeler automobile engine, as we chosen, Royal Enfield Classic 350, we made an attachment of liquid cooling directly to the engine for more effective cooling of the engine, and also we added another feature, air preheater, where the air is preheated by the coolant passed through the engine so that the air entering into the engine raises its temperature by the liquid coolant itself, so that by attachment of a single equipment we are probably getting two benefits. 1. We are cooling the engine far better than air cooling system with a greater performance. 2. We are increasing the mileage of the two-wheeler so that for the same amount of fuel the bike produces more mileage. Block diagram of attachments for two-wheeler. 2. Brief description about the attachment of liquid cooling system in air preheater. Normally a bike consists of an IC engine where it produces mechanical energy by the process undergoing combustion of fuel inside the engine cylinder, so that the energy generated inside the engine cylinder is converted to mechanical energy for the advancement of the bike. As the combustion process is taking place inside the engine cylinder continuously, the amount of heat generated is greater than the required amount of heat, as we know that the heat more than the required stage is not at all usable, that was exhausted by the exhaust pipe to the atmosphere, but some amount of the heat is absorbed by the engine cylinder, cylinder body, piston, etc. Due to this rapid generation of energy, most of the energy is absorbed by the engine cylinder and further the fins and those are exposed to the atmosphere, and the atmospheric air cools the fins and the excess heat is expelled or sent away by the fins. But, it was applicable for up to a certain limit. The efficiency of the engine decreases due to the excess heat absorbed by the engine. Now, we are made an attachment of liquid cooling system to the engine by producing some values around the engine body so that the coolant passes directly around the engine cylinder and it absorbs the maximum amount of excess heat produced by the engine, i.e., the engine cylinder produces nearly 2300 degrees minus 2500 degrees Celsius, and it should be cooled up to 100 degree 150 degrees C. That was absolutely cleared with liquid cooling system. The liquid coolant which absorbs the heat from the engine is passed from engine to the air intake value by a passive pipe in it, so that the air which flows in contact with the pipe having liquid coolant with a greater temperature, then the temperature of the air inside the air tube will rise so that preheated air enters into the carburetor. Due to this the air is initially heated before entering into the carburetor. This preheated air takes low amount of fuel to produce air-fuel mixture. Due to this the amount of fuel required for the cycle will become less, so that the number of cycles per liter will increase. Due to this the mileage of the vehicle. This fig describes that the coolant rises the temperature of inlet air and the coolant flow out to the radiator for further cooling to run the cycle. Here we absorbs that the coolant coming out from the air preheat section enter into the radiator for further cooling for the next cycle. 3. Working principle. In the above paragraph it is stated that the energy is generated by the heat energy which is produced by the combustion of air-fuel mixture in the engine cylinder, and the energy generated by the cylinder has a greater temperature of nearly 2300 degree 2500 degree C, so those higher temperatures are up to be cooled down to 200 degrees Celsius. In order to cool down from a greater temperature to a lower temperature we are arranging liquid cooling system to the engine, where the system goes direct contact to the engine. IJERT 9 is 070380 www.ijert.org. 845. Hence the fixed liquid coolant moves from radiator to the engine values, and the higher temperatures are absorbed by the coolant. Due to this the temp of coolant raises by absorbing cylinder's temperature, and this temperatured coolant normally goes to the radiator to cool down, but we are extending the heat coolant flow to the air intake pipe with a zigzag shaped tube of coolant into the larger air passage tube, so that the air entering into the vehicle in the channel gets contact with the hot coolant tube. Due to this the heat around the tube transfers to the air, so that the air flowing in the channel raises its temperature from atmosphere temperature to a greater temperature. Due to this the air-fuel mixture mixes fuel with a low amount with a temperatured air. Sure to this the mechanical efficiency of the vehicle increases. Then the coolant is sent back to the radiator for further cooling of the coolant and the process to be cycled. 4. Working of liquid cooling system. In general the liquid cooling system are mostly used for the removal of higher excess amount of heat produced by the engine, so we are implementing this system to the two-wheeler for the increment of life of the engine. Majorly the life of a common two-wheeler vehicle has a lifespan of 2-5 years where every care is taken place. If not, it may reduce it to 1-3 years. As we implemented a liquid cooling system to the engine, the risk taken by the engine is transferred to the cooling system, so that the engine is free from risk after attachment of cooling system, so that the engine works for more lifetime, i.e., 4-6 years, so that the people are more satisfactory for the product they purchased for fulfilling their needs. The coolant inside the system circulates around the engine cylinder to absorb the excess heat, so that the engine will be in its required condition, so that it works smooth and fine. 5. Calculations. Amount of heat dissipated by the engine using liquid cooling system. Q equals heat rejected, kW, Q equals MCP, T2T. Mass flow rate equals A * V flow of air equals 2m/s flow of coolant equals 3L/min area, A, equals 2 here diameter equals 20 mm, therefore the mass flow rate equals 1250 kh/hr. Equals 0.3472 kg/sec. Hot water inlet temperature equals 325 K. Hot water outlet temperature equals 390 K. Q equals MCP, 390 to 325, Q equals 0.3472 2.518, 65, Q equals 56.82 kilowatts. I rejected by using liquid cooling system, as we absorbed that the amount of heat dissipated by the engine using liquid cooling system is far better than air-cooled engines. Now, we are calculating the efficiency by raising the temperature of inlet air by using air preheater. Earlier we discussed that the coalescent pipe UID extended to the air intake channel so that the coolant passes through the channel. Due to this air gets contact with it and the temperature raises. 1. Before attachment of air preheater the number of kilometers/liter equals 36 km/lit, average. Number of kilometers/day equals 50 kilometers, average. Distance traveled/week equals 350 kilometers. Number of liters fuel consumed/liter equals 350/36 equals 9.72 lit. Cost of petrol for 1 liter equals 80 rupees. Cost of petrol for a week equals 9.72 * 80 equals 778 rupees. In an average the cost of traveling 50 kilometers per day for a week took 778 rupees of fuel. After attachment of air preheater number of kilometers slash liter equals 42 kilometers number of kilometers slash day equals 50 kilometers distance traveled for a week equals 350 km, average. No of liters fuel consumed per week equals 350 slash 42 equals 8.34 liters cost of petrol for 1 liter equals 80 rupees cost of fuel for 8.34 liters equals 667 rupees on an average transport of 50 kilometers per day takes 667 rupees of fuel for a week. Note after the attachment to the vehicle it takes 667 rupees and before it took 778 rupees for the same transport of a week. Amount of rupees saved after attachment equals 778 minus 667 equals 111 rupees. It saves 111 rupees for a week and 444 rupees for a month. 6. Result. After attachment of cooling system and air preheater to the two-wheeler, the mechanical efficiency as well as the lifespan of the engine increases. As the cooling system decreases the maximum amount of heat from the engine to the atmosphere as that excess heat is utilized by us to increase the temperature of the air taking inside the engine. Due to this the temperature of the intake air rises so that the mileage of the two-wheeler increases. This parameter helps a lot for the people who are utilizing the vehicle more for traveling. Hence, we made two parameters new by a single attachment. This cooling system. That cooling system cools the engine heavily and raises the temperature of the intake air.